Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where we will be making some vintage inspired crafts. Today I'm going to be taking you through 4 different really fun vintage inspired Halloween crafts. So we've got these little paper bats, we have these little pumpkin lanterns, we have of course a little felt witch's hat, and a spooky pom-pom garland. It's spooky because you can make it in Halloween colours. I'm going to have timestamps below for everything so you can skip ahead to whichever craft you're interested in. I've had so much fun making all of these. I'm really ready to get all decorated and everything for Halloween. I'm ready this year. I'm ready for horror movies, I'm ready for the cold weather, staying outside and feeling spooky. So these are all pretty kid friendly, nothing too intensive. It just maybe cutting out the paper and folding it might be a bit tricky depending on their age, and the hat I would definitely recommend for older children just so they can sew, or maybe if you have kids who sew young, which I think is great. I love those stories of people who say when they were children they used to sew their dolls' clothes. This is definitely a great thing to do with your kids on a rainy day. So as the title of the video suggests, this is a vintage inspired crafts video. So when I came up with the idea for this video, I did a lot of research into sort of Halloween things they had around the 50s. I looked at lots of pictures of shop fronts, I looked at pictures inside people's homes, their personal pictures that I could just find online. I had a look into excerpts from craft books, and so I kind of collated all of these ideas and thought about what different things I wanted. So I knew I obviously wanted something bat themed. Of course I wanted a little pumpkin. A witch's hat is super easy. And you know, of course back then they were a big fan of the garland for any sort of celebration. So I thought a fun little Halloween garland. So except for the little fake tea light and the pumpkin, all of these are using materials that would have been around and readily accessible in the 1950s. They absolutely loved crafting in the 50s. There are loads of books for children and for rainy days and stuff, like quite thick volumes, all about different sort of crafts. All of these require pretty basic materials. You might have some in your home. It's just basically paper, card, felt and yarn, and then you know your scissors and tape and glue and that sort of thing. So we're going through what you need on each of the videos as well. So let's get started. For this first little bat craft you'll need some black card, some paper for the wings. I've chosen to go with contrast purple, but you can also just go with black, some sellotape or glue, some scissors, a pencil, a write-on marker. I've just got silver, you can also use white, it's just for the faces, and a ruler. So to start I'm going to draw out my bat template. I will have a printable of this, so it'll be in the link down below or in the cards above, but otherwise you can design your own if you like. So now we've got our little bat shape all drawn out. Now it is time to cut it out. Now that we've got our little bat shape cut out, it's time to draw a little face on him. I've just got a paint marker in silver which I'm going to be using. You can also use a white marker, just a white gel pen, or you can even just cut shapes out of white paper for the face. I'm just going to do some cute little eyes and some teeth on this guy. I've chosen to give my bat 2 cutesy little eyes with a winged liner of course and some fangs. So now it's time to fold it. You're going to want to fold everything inwards. So the side you've drawn on the face will be the outside, and the place where you have all your markings and you cut it out from is the inside. To make sure that my lines are sharp, I take the handles of my scissors and I just run it along the crease. That way you get a nice sharp pointed curve. So now you'll be able to have a nice little box bat. So we're just going to sellotape it closed. My sellotape isn't quite thin enough, so I am just going to trim down the edges of it. If you don't want to go through this much bother, you can definitely just make sure that the width of your sellotape is the width that the sides of your bat are. So now I'm going to put those pieces of tape on the longest side. There's a longer side and a shorter side. And then you want to close it up, folding the tape down to the inside. Now you've got a little standing cardboard bat, wingless though. So now that the body of our bat is done, it's time for the wings. So I'm taking my purple paper. The sides of my bat are 7 centimeters, so I'm going to make the wings 7 centimeters long, just so that they came out from the right size. But if you're specifically designing this for hanging and you want sort of a bigger wing ratio, if you like, feel free to make your wings as wide as you like. Make sure your paper is long enough so that the wing can still stretch out, and then you'll be able to have long wings that come out, so just a tiny little bat body in the middle. So I'm just marking my purple paper with 2 marks at 7 centimeters and at 14 centimeters, and these are going to be the wings. When I was practicing making these, I found out that I really liked sort of a chunky little bat look, so I don't make the wing parts too long. I'm using the shorter side of the paper just because it's got small little wings that sort of only fold out to 90-degree angles, and it's quite chubby, and I just think that's very cute. Next I'm going to make a mark 1.5 centimeters to let me know where to start folding. Then we cut out those 2 strips. So we've got our 2 little bat wings now, and it's time to start folding them up. Using this pencil mark as a guide, just start folding them back and then forwards in a sort of zigzag shape, so that when you unfurl them, it'll be corrugated. So it's time to attach your wings to the back. You want to get some sellotape. I just cut it in half lengthways. Take one of the wings, make sure the pencil lines are facing towards the back of the bat, and tape its wings on. So I do 1 piece of tape at the top and 1 piece of tape at the bottom. There we go. The other side. And there it's got its 2 wings on. So my bat's wings have slightly too much paper on some sides, so I'm just going to trim those down. And this is just a byproduct of, you know, having 1 mark and then folding it. If you're really fastidious, you're more than welcome to rule every single line so that you know you're getting precise folds, but I just quite like to wing it a little bit. So before we fully attach the wings, I'm just going to cut some little points in it so it has a more bat-like wing shape. So starting from the outside one, Sorry, didn't realise I'd been knocked out of focus there, part of the problem with not wearing glasses. So you can see here those little ridges and points. So now it's time to gather those back up and towards the back. Taking quite a long piece of sellotape and doing about halfway down the wing. Going to press it towards the back, let it open up, and then sellotape the entire way down. And there we have it. Now our little bat has wings. The last thing to do is to attach something to hang it from. So I've got some yarn here for a project we'll be doing quite shortly. And I'm just going to cut off an amount I think would be good to hang it. Now all you need to do is sellotape at the outer edges of its wings. Right, so now that's sellotaped on, your bat is ready to hang. I do like to stretch out the wings a little bit, just sort of flatten these creases with my fingers so it wants to open up a little more. So one little tip to help it hang better, as you can see it's quite light so its wings aren't fully extended, is to just put a bit of blue tack, quite a large blob, into the bat where you can't see it. Stick that down and it'll just weigh down the bat, and there we have it. Our first little Halloween craft is a cute little hanging. I think these are so cute. I love them. You can hang them anywhere. You can draw on sort of any faces. These would work really great too as little Halloween party favors. They can also stand up so you can have, you know, a cute little friend on your bedside, or you know, your dressing table. So that is our first little craft done. Great, so it's time to move on to our next little craft, which is a small paper pumpkin. Now you can either leave your pumpkin completely plain, or what I found is some tiny little Halloween themed electronic tea lights, which I'm going to put in so it turns into a little light up pumpkin. I bought these from Poundland in a little pack of 4 for £1. As you might be able to see, they have a small flickering light in them, which I think is super cute, and I thought would just be a really fun addition to a little paper pumpkin. But this is optional, of course. I do not recommend using actual candles, obviously. This one you need some orange paper, some green paper, and then some black card. I've just got the scraps from the bat one, as well as a pencil, a ruler, some scissors again, and some sellotape or glue. As I mentioned, you can use sellotape or glue. It just depends how quickly you want things to come together. I absolutely didn't want to wait. I didn't want glue and have to wait for it to dry, so I'm just using sellotape. Things will come out much cleaner if you use glue. Things like the bat will have little bits of sellotape on the back if you just leave them as is, but if that doesn't bother you, if you're going to put them flush against the wall, then just leave it. So because I want this to fit my tea light, I know my tea light has a 12 centimeter circumference, so the circumference on the inside of my pumpkin is going to need to be at least 12 centimeters as well. So I'm going to give it a little bit of room, so the width of this will be 15 centimeters wide. I think this is a pretty standard size of tea light. I will have a printable down below as well, so you don't have to mark up the orange paper. If you have a printer, you can simply print it onto the orange paper. But if not, I'll also have a blog post which has pictures so you can draw these out yourself if it's not too clear from this. So I'm just going to start by marking my paper in 1 centimeter increments. so now that we've got this all rolled up, it's time to just cut out the rectangle first. Now what we want to do is fold the paper so that these two lines are matching. So it'll end up sort of off center like this. Just fold it quite gently. Fold up the top and bottom edges to the line. The nice thing about this orange paper that I'm using is it is quite thin, so I can still see the lines on the other side of the paper. So fold them back flat for now. And start cutting down all of these lines. So now that we've got our cut paper, what we want to do is form the shape of the pumpkin. So fold the uncut edges back inside, like so. Next you want to take a long piece of sellotape, long enough for the whole thing, and stick those two together with no overlap. You're going to want to take quite a long piece of sellotape. And you want to only stick the sellotape over half because you don't want to double up the edges. We have sort of a long triangle-y tube. Then what we want to do is fold the sellotape over on one side, bring it around in a circle, and then slot one end inside the other, which might be kind of tricky. The paper doesn't love doing this, so just give it a go. You can squish in of the orange points if you like. I have that piece of sellotape holding it with the back. Get another piece of sellotape for the other end and sellotape it closed, making sure that you've entirely hidden one section under the other. Now take a piece of sellotape for the inside and stick it closed. Trim off the inner sort of pumpkin round, and now start to flatten out all of those corners from where you folded the paper. I like to press them against the center using my thumb as support just to get that roundness back. Next we want to take our orange sheet and draw a circle in the inner of the pumpkin, being very light, and then cut that out, leaving probably about half a centimeter of the entire shape, and also try to correct it into more of a circle if you can. Now we take one side of our pumpkin and attach this as the base. So I use 4 pieces of sellotape and I stick it to 2 of the little offshoots at once. Then that allows me to just come in with the scissors and cut the sellotape away. And as you're snipping it away, make sure to just really stick it down and reinforce it. There's the main body of your pumpkin, which you can pop your little tea light in. So taking your scrap black card, draw what you want as a face for your pumpkin. So I think I'm going to go with quite an angry one, since I did such a cutesy bat last time. Remember, if you draw on one side with pencil, then it's totally okay because you can just use it the other side. So just taking a small piece of sellotape, roll it and stick it to itself so that it creates a double-sided tape. And then just stick it onto your pumpkin where you think it works. Try and just squeeze that pumpkin to make it a little more round. And there we go, the little pumpkin guy. So all that's left is to do the green details. So I'm just going to cut some long, thin triangles. I'm just freestyling them. I want these to be little curls. So on your hand, using the back of your scissors, not the blade, hold the end and simply run down them, which makes it into a little spiral. I just had to look up the shape of a pumpkin leaf because I didn't know offhand. So I'm going to draw sort of one of those. Cut it out. And then use that one to cut another one the same shape. I want to curl these again with the scissors with the wrong side up. Just a slight curl in them, and fold them in half and fold them out again, just to give the leaf a little bit of dimension. And then you can stick these on sort of as you'd like. And now all that's left to do with this little guy is turn on your little tea light, pop it in, and there he is. So I've done this one quite angry, and then I also have a plain one which was sort of my tester. So this is a little bit rounder and with a slightly happier face. So next up is one I've been very excited for, and this is a little witch's hat. So what you will need for this is some felt, a needle and thread, some chalk to mark the felt, and some scissors. So I'm using my fabric scissors just because it's easier, but craft scissors will generally cut felt. I've got a printable pattern as well for the hat. It's just a mini sort of hat, but here is my prototype. Of course at the start of the video you will see my full size one. I really wanted to be able to show you how to make a little witchy hat, but I felt like it was too obvious just sort of cutting a cone and doing a circle. So I'm going to be doing a little felt witch's hat with a crook in it, which I think is super cute, and it should be a really nice accessory for Halloween, and you know you've made it yourself, you haven't just bought it at a $2 shop. it's quite rewarding. As of filming this video, I have not yet made my printable pattern. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be doubling the size of my template that I originally made. So I have just roughly pinned this to make sure it'll work, and it should do. So this is the finished hat size. It's going to be sort of a little mini witch's hat, a little accessory you can pop on the side of your head. So I'm just going to measure the circumference of this so that I can make a mark on my circle so that I know where to make the little inside hole, and also where to attach my hat to later. I'm just going to pop that to the side. It's time to unpin this and start stitching it together. So even if you're not someone who sews, this is a really simple little craft project. You know, I've got printables for these, so all you need to do is cut it out on felt, which you can usually find at a craft store. You can also find smaller pieces of felt at dollar stores, which you can also use for this. So my pattern is for an A4 piece of paper, but of course you can scale it down and then you'll be able to get a mini hat like this, for example. No special stitches required, just put it together as you see fit. Something else fun you can do with this pattern is to use a contrast stitching. So I'm just using a standard black polyester thread, but if you get, say, some embroidery thread, then you can make visible stitches. Will be quite a cute little detail. You know, then you can start embellishing your hat, little quilted patches on it, just go crazy. Now we have sewn the top of our hat all together. It's time to turn it inside out. So being very gentle, just trying to claw your way in as if you're doing a sock the wrong way around. Now it's a good idea to get something like a pencil just to start wedging that point through. There we go, stands on its own. Now it's time to attach it to our base. So I will cut out where I've marked the circle. I finished sewing the base onto the hat, so we have our little witch's hat now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these slide combs and sew it in so that I can secure the hat to my head. So I'm just going to try on the hat, sort of see, I'm going to want it at an angle so you can still see the bend in it where I'm wearing it. So I'm going to want the front to be here. I'm just going to mark that with a little piece of chalk. Trim off my extra threads from the inside, and now start stitching this on. I want the teeth to be facing into the hat. So since I'm just working with a single layer of felt, I am making sure not to let the thread poke all the way through. When you're stitching, you can kind of feel if your needle comes to the other edge of the fabric. You just want to sew through the felt. Great, so I've just finished sewing on my little clip. Hopefully you can see it there. It's a broken one, so I didn't mind using this. So now we can pop it on. So I've just tilted you up so you can get a good view of the hat. And so there is your cute little witch's hat. Nice and secure. Now you can go about your day. I really like how this one turned out. I sort of wanted to show how to make a little witch's hat, but I didn't want it to be just something you could buy at like the $2 shop. So it being made of felt is really cute, and also means you can make it in a bunch of colors to match any of your outfit. I'm already thinking of buying some burgundy felt, because I have a new burgundy dress that I think it would look really cute with. It's also something subtle, you know, for the everyday Halloween lover. Like, you could definitely wear this out. So I just used a 2mm thick craft felt for this. It's got a little bit of structure so that it can hold the tip, but also, you know, it's floppy enough to have, like, you know, a little bend in it. So if you print off the paper pattern to a half size, which is an option in the printer settings, you will end up with a pattern that makes something this size. And even this is quite a sweet tiny accessory. You see, I do actually have a bobby pin here, so I can pin this on, even though it's made of cardboard. See, even that's quite cute, especially in maybe a different colour. As I mentioned, you can accessorize them. You know, one cute idea for this might be a piece of yarn at the end with a little pom-pom, so it's like a little spider's web. You could customize it with veiling, you could do some sort of patchwork looking stuff on it. It's really just a template, and honestly, I could see myself making a few of these, especially for autumn. Like, I know it probably won't provide much warmth. Yeah, if you make a half size one and a full size one, you could always, like, when you go inside, do a little witch hat reveal. Great, so that's our third little craft. But this craft is a super cute, super simple pom-pom garland. So what you'll need for this is just some yarn, some cardboard circles. I will have a pattern for this down below as well, so check out the link there. And some sharp scissors that will allow you to cut through the yarn easily. I'm using just some little snips here, but if you've got decent craft scissors, those will work just as well. So if you've never made a pom-pom before, it is super easy. All you really need to do is get 2 circles of card. I've got a lighter weight card and a thicker weight card just because it's what I had to hand. So you cut a large circle, which will be about the size of your finished pom-pom. Slit in the middle with a smaller hole, which allows you to make the pom-pom. I've got 2 sizes here because I'm making 2 sizes of pom-pom. You can make as many as you like, you can make them all uniform, you can make them different sizes, of course whatever yarn you like. This is a black yarn with a slight sparkle thread running through it. I hope you can see that. It makes really cute little finished pom-poms which just have a little bit of Halloween, but also very much remind me of Soot Sprites. So what you want to do is take your circle and take the end of your thread and thread it through, holding on to it at the back. And then all you simply do is wrap it round and around and around. As much yarn as you wrap around is as thick as the pom-pom will be, so I like to make mine quite thick so I've got quite dense pom-poms. So it's a bit of a tedious process. I've already made some earlier, but this is a great thing to do just while you're watching TV. It's like knitting for people who can't knit. You know, all you're doing is wrapping yarn around and around and around, and then eventually you get a really cool finished product. Great, so when you've got quite a thick amount on your card, you're going to want to cut it off, leaving some string left over. Then knot these 2 end pieces together so that the knot is in the center. Just secure it a couple of times. Now, holding the 2 end strings down, you're going to want to trim between the 2 pieces of card. Actually, while I was at Poundland, I did see some pom-pom makers, which I just think It's so funny, a pom-pom maker. I would have never thought. I just grew up making pom-poms, you know, out of scrap card. Right, so you're not going to pull it out yet. What you're going to do is get the 2 pieces of string and slot them between the pieces of card. Wrap them around so they meet each other, and then knot it off again. Really tight this time, because this is what's going to secure your pom-pom. Right, now you can pop it out of the cardboard. Give it a little bit of a fluff out. And there we go. A little pom-pom. Making pom-poms is super easy and perfect for children as well, just because they can spend so much time doing this. You can just give them some yarn, give them some little cardboard cutouts, and then you don't have to deal with them. I want my finished pom-pom yarn to be able to stretch across these 2 walls, so I'm going to make it the same length as my little eyeball LED lights here. So I'm just taking the yarn, measuring the length I want it, and then giving myself about an extra 20 centimeters on each end. So here we are, I've got all my pom-poms, I've got my piece of yarn, now it's time to start attaching them all. So I'm just taking my piece of yarn and finding the halfway point. So I've got 5 big pom-poms and 6 little pom-poms, so I'm going to be doing alternating large and small, so I'm going to put a large one in the middle. So you want to fluff out your pom-pom, making sure it's looking nice and fuzzy. If you've got any bits that are sticking out too far, just trim them down. Sort of obviously want your pom-pom to be quite spherical. Now I've got my halfway point, so I'm going to attach the pom-pom using the 2 strands coming off it. I'm gonna place my center point right in between the 2 pieces of yarn and then give it a good double knot. Trim those so that they are the length of the pom-pom. And there we have our first pom-pom. So now that I've got my middle one, I'm just going to hold out the rest and sort of estimate where they're going to go, so that I know roughly where to put them. And then simply start tying them on. If you get any pieces of yarn trapped while you're doing your knotting, just gently try to pull them out with your nails. So that's half the garland done. I'm just going to repeat on the other side. Right, so all knotted up, here is our finished pom-pom garland. I think it's really cute, you know, it's obviously, it's not the most exciting decoration, but I think it's a bit fun, and especially having glittery black makes it a bit more interesting. So I'm just going to hang this up. So thank you for watching this video today. I hope you've enjoyed all my spooky little crafts. I'm definitely ready to start getting into the Halloween theme, you know. It's been quite a year and I always look forward to Halloween anyway, because I'm all about that spooky horror life, and so October, yes, we're ready to go. Of course, if you make any or all of the crafts featured in this video today, please tag me. I would love to see what you make. As I've mentioned a few times, for each piece in this there will be printable patterns for you, so you don't have to rule everything up. If you don't have a printer like me, then I'll also just include the measurements so you can draw them up yourselves. You won't have to worry about printing them out. A printer's just easier, especially for things like the pumpkin, if you can print it straight onto orange paper. These are perfect things to do in wet weather, you know, with your partner, with some friends. And of course, every one of these has tons of room for customization. You can have your angry little pumpkin, you can have your happy little pumpkin, you can have any sort of face on your bat, any colour hat, any colour pom-poms, you know, whatever range you like. Just have fun. These crafts are all pretty easy, particularly the pumpkin and the bat. The garland, extra simple, but it just takes a bit more time, and the hat's probably the most intensive of this. Also, I kind of love how I keep bumping these and they just sort of fly around me. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have, thank you so much. If you make any of these, please tag me. I would love to see them, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.